We will be listening to two adverts, the first being Chasing Happiness. Then we will be listening to another advert from a TV show. We will then be comparing the two and the most significant parts and how they are similar and also how they differ, and the pros and cons of each of these significant bits. So let's start with Chasing Happiness. Here's a radio advert for Chasing Happiness.
When are we truly happy?
When I have all my kids under one roof.
Being with my mom, who inspires
When
me.
I see people that I've worked with achieve and grow.
Mosaic Films presents Chasing Happiness.
Every individual, every person needs to negotiate their own sense of happiness.
So it's a very contentious term. Everyone wants to claim that term, but what it means is open to debate.
A documentary on what it takes to be truly happy.
A big component of happiness is about having a sense of purpose that's greater than you.
Released in selected independent cinemas as part of the BFI Film Festival, October 2017. What is happiness? I don't know. You tell me.
Now let's listen to the radio advert for the TV show The Aliens.
Everyone knows that nothing brings the family together like butter. That's why we at the Dairy Butter put some of it.
This is a message from the Alien League. The humans have treated us like second-class citizens for far too long. It's time.
In a single tub, because the family that eat butter together.
Stop the humans controlling us. Time to stop them disrespecting us. Time to rise up as one. Fight human oppression. Join us. alienleague.co.uk.
No, you pass the butter.
First of all, I think it is key that we compare the beginning of these adverts. Now, they are very different. Chasing Happiness, as we heard, begins with a voiceover of a woman. This is the same narrator that is used within our production. And the first thing that she's doing is asking us a rhetorical question, which is also the tagline to our production, which then creates a link between the two. This rhetorical question gets the audience to listen right from the beginning, as they are already questioning what truly makes them happy. Like, why is this advert asking me this? It is shortly after this that we then hear the score from our film being played in the background of our radio advert. This is what we call a music bed. This is to connote an upbeat feel for our audience when they are listening to the radio advert, and this will also help to connote the same feeling as what the film will give the audience, so it gives them a taster. This radio ad begins with what seems to be an advert for butter, with a voiceover of a man who connotes as being very happy and upbeat and jolly. However, he is very soon interrupted by a loud interference of what can only be described as static noise. This instantly grabs the attention for the listeners, as this is not something that you would be expecting to hear from your radio, whether it's in your car or house or wherever, and they would instantly assume that it is something wrong with their radio, instead of assuming that it's an advert. So instantly, the introductions to these radio adverts differ completely. One gets straight into the whole concept of the production, i.e. Chasing Happiness, and the other uses a very creative way of slowly but very quickly gaining the attention of the audience as a whole, instead of just a couple of people. A second aspect that we can look at when comparing these two adverts is the way in which they get their details across about the product in which they are advertising. So, for example, when you hear the Aliens advertising, the woman interrupts the original butter advert and gives a supposed alien message or message to the members of the audience that the aliens are coming. And she finishes her message by giving out a website. This is a real website used to advertise a TV program, and so therefore they only use this method within this radio advert. And when you compare this to Chasing Happiness, who actually advertise what film festival their production will be shown at, and also they mention the date, and so therefore they give a lot more details away. The reason for this could be the fact that they actually have a niche audience. When comparing it to the Aliens, this is an advert for their third season, and so therefore it can be said that they have a larger audience than Chasing Happiness would have, and so they are appealing to a mass audience, which is a lot easier. And by just giving a website, some people or fans of the show will know that it is from the Aliens, the TV show, and so they will instantly go straight to the website, and where they can access more information about the premiere of the show, or possibly even trailers. Now in Chasing Happiness, during the middle of the advert, they actually use content from their actual film, and this is heard when you hear loads of different voices with different answers to a question. This leads the audience to wonder if it is the question that is posed to them at the beginning, and if it is, why does everyone have a different answer? Why does none of it sound the same? And this is something which they can answer, and these are these questions which they can answer with it if they watch the production. And so the use of the content from the production actually entices the audience to want to find out more, and it therefore is targeted for our target audience, who are thinkers, and they want to know, and they want to be asked questions, and they want to understand why. And it also appeals to the narrative of our documentary, which is more about the factual side of being happy instead of what people would expect it to be and what people want happiness to be. In comparison to this, the advert for the Aliens uses no content from the actual production. The only thing that they do use from the production is the character's voice. And this connotes the feeling that they are being invaded, that it is like a real invasion for the audience, because an invasion is something that is abnormal, and this radio advert has become abnormal. It's something that is disrupted, and an invasion is disruption. And as an advert was disrupted by this message, it connotes to the audience that something is going to happen. And as it cuts out with the same sort of interference that it began with, it connotes this idea that it makes the audience question what is going to happen next. Like, what happens if I do go to this website? Why is this message interfering with this original advert? And so it really does grab the attention of the. Also, the advert for the Aliens is very short, concise, and to the point, to also connote this feeling of panic, which the character with the interrupting message is conveying with a tone of voice. When comparing this to the tone of voice used for the Chasing Happiness, she is very upbeat and happy and clear, and uses very good language, which can connote happiness and just joyfulness for the audience. And so they both use certain tones of voice to get across the point in which they want to make, and so in that way they are very similar. Overall, it can be said that these adverts are completely different, and the reason for this could be that the Aliens is a action-based TV series, and the documentary Chasing Happiness is more factual, and so they have completely different target audiences mainly. Yes, they both are aiming for a younger audience, the aliens would be more likely to be aiming for a younger audience, and so that is why the timings and the length of the radio advert is very short and straight to the point, because they don't want any waffling and they want to retain the attention of the younger people that they are trying to appeal to. Whereas Chasing Happiness can afford to be a bit longer because they're going for an older, more established audience who are used to the depth of independent products and the detail in which they go into, and so they don't mind listening to a slightly longer advert.